If you haven't been living under a rock, you have heard about toxic masculinity, or at least the idea of it. The notion is quite simple. There are certain masculine traits that are deemed toxic or bad, if you will, but there are several flaws with the logic applied to it. A lot of especially feminists say that masculine traits are mostly about degrading. But there's a lot of difference between what people find degrading. And I call this the offense bias. Everyone has it, a list of things that can trigger you into feeling offended or attacked. Let's use example in toxic masculinity. So, let's say there's a door, and there's a lady behind you. You decide, oh, I'll keep the door open for her. You are well intentioned, but some women may see this as an attack on their ability to open a door for themselves. Now, I think that's ridiculous, but we can't deny that some people go through different experiences and therefore can have what are, according to us, faulty notions. But that's the point of the offense bias. Deciphering the objective truth in subjective experiences is impossible, because there is no objective truth in subjective experiences. So then what we have to ask is, who is responsible for the outcome of this subjective experience, or the combination of these subjective experiences? The sender or the recipient? Now, my teacher in high school always said it is up to the sender to make sure the message arrives well enough. But in ironic hindsight, that was a terrible message to send to children, because we can't, as senders, control nor understand other people's offense biases. At most, we can try to remember certain facts about a person, but that would cost too much energy that would otherwise be spent in a more efficient way. If you're offended, it is your fault, because it's your bias. It may be hard to control your bias, but if you put in the work, it is definitely possible. Now, I'm not saying it's okay to purposely aim for another person's bias just to mess with them, because that's just quite honestly petty and inefficient. But it is important that there is a distinction between saying a fact that offends someone or saying something unnecessary that offends someone. One is illogical and the other one is just simply an attack. Now, as a receiver, how do you know which is which? Of course, someone else's tone and stance are two things that can tell a lot. But even those two things together can be misleading, especially with cultural differences or people who might have autism, for example. I think the best thing to do is just ask, like, what do you mean by that? And again, watch your own tone as well, because you may not be responsible for interpretation of another, but you can definitely aid in avoiding unnecessary conflict. If I say something and someone else says something about that, then someone else does something that wasn't my original point. And the person at fault is the one doing the deed. Same goes with politicians. For example, Hitler. Was Hitler responsible for World War II? Hell no. It was a collective mixture of everyone who felt offended about something, either the government or some cultural, religious, or racial group. Blaming everything on one man is arrogant, delusional, and simply ignores the fact that offense bias plays a large role in what caused World War II and what caused the persecution of Jews and other minority figures. Like, Hitler was definitely a darker figure, don't get me wrong, but that was mostly because of his offense bias. And that's why controlling the offense bias of the general population would stop such future conflicts. That's why we must have some kind of established line of controlling the offense bias on a governmental level, maybe even a global governmental level. If everyone could get offended by the same things, we wouldn't have that problem anymore. So that's the eventual evolution that we want to head with the offense bias, is to make sure that it can't be used anymore as a weapon, and that it can't be inefficient for the human race anymore. Because it stands in the way of a lot of progress. That's a fact. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one.